Good afternoon, all. My name is Marika Vander Steenhoven, and I am the Special Collections Education and Outreach Librarian for the George J. Mitchell Department of Special Collections and Archives here at the Bowdoin College Library. And I'm joined today, as per usual.
Hello, I'm Kat Stefko. I'm the director of the department.
And we are so thrilled to be able to share our October page turning event of the John J. Audubon's Birds of America. Before we get into our program, I want to let you know about some upcoming programs to look forward to. A little bit later on this month, we're starting a new program called Beyond the Reading Room, Archives in the World, where we're featuring various different artists and scholars who have either used our collections here in special collections, or they have their work represented in the collections. So mark your calendars for October 16th, when we'll be joined by book artist Maureen Cummins. That'll be October 16th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Just a week after that, we'll be joined by Bowdoin alum Pamela Zabala, who will be talking about the research that she's doing at Duke University in their sociology graduate program, but also about her honors program, wherein she did research about bias institutes here at Bowdoin throughout history. That's October 22nd from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. In November, we'll be joined by literary scholar Susan Beagle, who will be talking about Harriet Beecher Stowe. Again, that's November 16th from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. And the final speaker in our series is another alumnus, Dawn Westfald, class of 1972, who has spent countless hours here in the reading room doing research about Bowdoin lands. That is going to be a fabulous program. That's December 3rd, bright and early at 9:30 a.m. And that program runs an hour as well. So that's our Beyond the Reading Room program, all happening virtually. You can visit our website to find out more information and to register for those programs. And then, of course, we've got another 2 Audubon page turnings this semester, which will all be happening remotely. I'm so excited for next month, November. We will be joined by members of the class of 2024. Those are first-year students who are here on campus. They're enrolled in Professor Dana Bird's seminar, Faked, Foraged, Stolen, and Repatriated, Crimes Against Art. That'll be November 6th at 12:30 p.m. promptly, first Friday of the month. We're not moving away from that schedule. And then in December, and this is really by a theme that we've been very interested in, given the moment in time that we're living in, and the history and the ways, all the different ways that we come to this book to think about the interpretation of it. In December, we'll be joined by Jacqueline L. Scott, who is a PhD student at the University of Toronto in the Department of Social Justice Education. She is a hike leader with 2 outdoor clubs, and Jacqueline also leads Black History Walks in Toronto. She's the author of travel and adventure books from a Black perspective. And she's going to be talking to us a little bit about the research that she's done between the connection between Audubon and slavery. So that'll be a very poignant conversation, and that happens on the first Friday of December, which is the December 4th at 4 p.m. I'm sorry, December 4th at 12:30 p.m. Oh boy. So that's all the upcoming programming. I hope you'll join us for some of it. And we're delighted today. It's just Kat and I. We're going to talk to you a little bit about Bowdoin's copy of Audubon's Birds of America, and as well as flipping the bird, which I know is why you're all here. Take it away.
So I just wanted to say a bit about the book itself and about Audubon's life. Many of you in the audience probably can speak to this already, but for those of you who are less familiar, John James Audubon, his life spanned the last part of the 18th century and the first half of the 19th century. It was quite the adventurous life filled with scandal and poverty. But I think what he's known for today is really the work that he conducted in the 1820s, 30s, and into the 1820s and 30s to depict the birds of America. It was a monumental undertaking. In the end, he created 435 plates. They are in these extravagant volumes, which you can see. Can I do this?
Yeah,
It's a mirror image, so I have to like practice. I've been practicing this.
It's on one side of the screen.
Exactly. It's a monumental work. There are 1,065 birds in it from 489 species, and they were depicted in life size and reproduced from Audubon's original paintings. Regarding his paintings, he drew largely from specimens that he gathered himself in the field or that his assistants gathered, or from skins that were sent to him by naturalists. And then from these original drawings, which were watercolored, he reproduced, the paintings were reproduced as etchings by transferring the image to copper plates, printing in black ink onto these double elephant folio size paper, which was about, it's about that tall. And then again colored. The first 10 prints were done by Lazars of Edinburgh, and then the other ones, all 425 were done by Robert Havel of London. If you were a subscriber to this production, you would have received parts, 87 parts in total, each part containing about five prints, one of a large bird, one of a medium bird, and 3 of a small bird. So as you can see, we're presently on a large bird, so we can anticipate
what comes next.
What comes next? It's medium. There were approximately 175 to 200 full sets published of Audubon's work, and of these, 120 complete sets survive. 70 of these are thought to be in North America, and Bowdoin is extraordinarily lucky to have this set. In addition to the monumental images, Audubon published textual descriptions, which are quite lovely and lively to read, and we are going to do that for you in a bit. He published those separately in a volume that's over here to my left, that's called the Ornithological Biography, or an account of the habits of the birds of the United States of America. This came out between 1834 and 39. Soon after, he issued a Royal Octavo edition of his work that took the images in this volume, that volume, that volume over here, and put it with this volume over here. And that is called the Royal Octavo edition, which we also have. Yes, and it's lovely. Someday we'll show you that too. Our set of the Birds of America. I'm going to get this right by the end of the half hour.
You should all be able to see, I'm seeing some questions pop up in the Q&A, but there should be 2 images on your screen. One is the feed of Cat and I, and the other is a direct feed of the Birds of America, which I'm seeing that you can't see the volume.
Uh-oh.
So you keep going.
Which makes my gesticulations all the less meaningful. So, oh.
How's that?
I can't tell. I can't tell from here. Can you see it now?
I'm seeing. Let's see. We're getting some technical assistance here. Oh, okay. If you're watching on a mobile device, you may be only seeing one screen at a time. The other option is that you'll want to go into speaker view, where you'll see both of those screens. So, oh, we're getting lots of comments in the Q&A. It's not a direct feed. Much better. Was good for a second. I can't see, but I can see both images. Okay.
So some people have both and some people don't. Okay. We're going to solve this though by moving to that as a direct camera.
Yes.
Okay. Can our technical assistant?
Oh, wait, no. I think I think it might just be an issue of the muting. Let me just try it here.
Okay.
All right. So you keep telling them what.
Okay. Our copy of the beautiful book that you cannot see came to Bowdoin. Came to Bowdoin as a gift of Roscoe H. Hupper, who was in the class of 1907 and became a member of the Board of Overseers. He presented the book in 1955 in memory of his mother, Mary Alden Hupper. I like to remind my son of this, actually, every time I read that. Hupper purchased John James Audubon's double elephant folio, Birds of America, in 1955 from the American Museum of Natural History, which had 2 copies, can you imagine? And put this one, the Bowdoin copy, up for sale by the Kennedy Galleries in New York, with the stipulation that it, quote, be acquired only for an institution of learning to provide opportunity for students of Americana and ornithology to be acquainted with this Bible of American ornithology. Roscoe paid $23,620 for his purchase of the 4-volume set, plus a 10% commission and incidental expenses of $230, roughly equivalent to $240,000 today.
Oh, baby.
A good investment, one might say. Bowdoin's Birds of America stands out for its Bowdoin's copy of Birds of America stands out for its composite plates. In 1838, as Audubon's London engraver and printer Havel was finishing his work on the Birds of America, Audubon asked him to create 13 composite prints, which would unite all the individuals of certain species that he had appeared on different plates previously, or that had been misidentified. So these were essentially errata sheets. Only 6 or 7 copies of each of these composite prints were ever made. And Audubon reserved the best 3 for his set and 2 of his close friends. The remainder made their way into a handful of 20 or so sets that were still being prepared by Havel to be sold by Audubon when he returned to America in 1839. So Bowdoin's copy descends from that last category. And ours is particularly remarkable because we have 4 composite prints, more than any set at any college or university in the world. The first composite print to be found in our copy is 209. So you're going to have to keep with us with First Fridays.
For a long time.
For a long time in order to see one of these composites.
We're slated to do page turnings if we keep up at this rate until 2052.
Yeah. They're going to be rolling us in our wheelchairs. It'll be more than technical difficulties we're having at that point. Anyway, once you stick around for that plate, you'll see that it depicts 3 instead of only 2 of Wilson's plovers, a shorebird found during breeding season along the southeastern and Gulf Coast of the United States. In terms of these page turnings, before COVID, we used to do them in person and people would be here with us. It was a tradition that we began in January of 2016 when Marika and I had a conversation about, oh, we should be turning those pages so that they don't get damaged from light. And then we thought, well, if we're going to do that, we should invite an audience in to see it because it is such a fantastic and enjoyable thing. Turning these pages, which is really quite remarkable.
And I will say, just as so many of you have helped us sort of navigate what you're viewing on the other end, I will say that one of my favorite things about the page turning is the community that has grown around it. I'm just so surprised. I mean, I love books, and I would show up for a page turning, even if it wasn't my job to do so. And it's just amazing how the reading room fills and how our digital reading room here fills with people. And we're just so honored to be able to share this experience with all of you. And we're so delighted that you're such active and engaged participants.
I will say that there was another interruption earlier where I looked to the right, and it was because the door of our reading room shut on its own. And so we feel your spirit here with us.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so
should we turn the page?
I think we should. And this is the moment in which, because we're in this webinar format, I can't hear you laughing, so you're going to have to do it extra loud when I make my monthly joke of flipping the bird. So Kat and I are going to migrate over to the case here. We have washed our hands, so we are handling the book with our bare hands, but they are clean, and we will do so carefully. So here we go. We're going to be saying goodbye to the red-tailed hawk and that poor, we're going to put that poor bunny out of its misery.
Can you get around?
Yeah, I can.
With my cold, clean hands, I'm gonna hand you that.
Okay, so what we're looking at right now is Audubon's Chuck's Will Widow. This is the largest nightjar in North America, but their dappled brown plumage makes them blend in perfectly to dry woodlands of the southeast. The surprisingly large Chuck-Will's widow has a huge flat head and long wings. I said to Kat earlier that it's a little bit too reptilian for my taste, but quite beautiful. It's significantly larger than the common nighthawk and the whippoorwill. It is between the size of a robin and a crow. Warm brown tones with intricately patterned feathers make them extremely well camouflaged. The wings are entirely brown. The outer tail feathers have white inner webs that you might see as one flushes from a roost or passes through your headlights. More often, you won't see white in the tail, and this is what helps separate it from the whippoorwill, in which the white is much more prominent. You can hear the calls at dusk, pre-dawn, and at night. And the Chuck-Will's widows often sit on the road and roadsides at night, where you'll occasionally spot them in the headlights. Their eyes reflect a bright orange eye shine. And also sometimes they are seen at dusk gliding over trees, giving their wing-clapping display or while hunting. The Chuck-Will's widow hunts actively by flying low over the ground in search of insects. Occasionally, small birds and bats are included in its diet. Now, if you were to look for one, they roost in dry woodlands in the southeast, from pine barrens to oak hickory and mixed deciduous woodlands. Now, I'm not sure where all of our attendees are coming from, but the Chuck-Will's widow doesn't come much further north than Delaware, nor west of Texas. So we won't find any here in Maine, but perhaps you're joining us from a region where there are. As I was doing a little bit of research, the oldest recorded Chuck's Will widow was a male and at least 14 years, 10 months old when he was shot in the Dominican Republic and Haiti in 1992. He had been banded in Florida in 1978, which is an amazing lifespan for this gorgeous bird.
So it's shot in Haiti?
Yes.
Where Audubon was born?
Yes.
It comes full circle.
It always comes full circle. I think it's not so much 7 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon as it is John James Audubon. Yikes. I'm going to see if I can get this to focus just a little bit more.
Wait, you want me to try that?
I think it's just a matter of...
It looked focused on the... I can't honestly tell if it's not any more focused.
Okay.
But you know, I could try zooming in.
No, I don't know.
Okay. I won't try zooming in.
You're getting the sense of it, and when we put this recording out, we will put a clear, crisp image so you can zoom right in and take a look at it. Okay, one of the things that I love is Audubon's floral, beautiful language. So I thought we should read a little bit about what Audubon has to say. I'm going to switch our camera view over to our book camera here. So here we have, as Kat mentioned, the text that Audubon published separately. And he did that in so many ways to avoid copyright and having to deposit copies of Birds of America into libraries. So here's what Audubon has to say about the Chuck's Will widow. The deep ravines, shady swamps, and extensive pine rides are all equally resorted to by these birds. For in such places they find ample means of providing for their safety during the day and of procuring food under night. Their notes are seldom heard in cloudy weather and never when it rains. Their roosting places are principally the hollows of decayed trees, whether standing or prostrate, which they seldom leave during the day, excepting while incubation is in progress. In these hollows I have found them, lodged in the company of several species of bats. The birds asleep on the moldering particles of the wood, the bats clinging to the side of the cavities. When surprised in such situations, instead of trying to effect their escape by flying out, they retire backwards to the farthest corners, ruffle all of the feathers of their bodies, open their mouths to the full extent, and utter a hissing kind of murmur, not unlike that of some snakes. When seized and brought to the light of day, they open and close their eyes in rapid succession, as if it were painful for them to encounter so bright a light. They snap their little bill in the manner of flycatchers and shuffle along as if extremely desirous of making their escape. On giving them liberty to fly, I have found them able to proceed until out of my sight. They passed between the trees with apparently as much ease and dexterity as if it had been twilight. I once cut two of the quill feathers of the wings of one of these birds and allowed it to escape. A few days afterwards, I found it on the same log, which induces me to believe that they, like many other birds, resort to the same spot to roost or spend the day. Now, this is another section of Audubon's entry on the chuck-will's widow, which gets at the other species of animal that he depicted them with. The chuck-will's widow manifests a strong antipathy towards all snakes, however harmless they may be. Although these birds cannot in any way injure the snakes, they alight near them on all occasions and try to frighten them away by opening their prodigious mouth and emitting a strong hissing murmur. It was after witnessing one of these occurrences, which took place at early twilight, that the idea of representing these birds in such an occupation struck me. The beautiful little snake gliding along the dead branch between two chuck-will's widows, a male and female, is commonly called the Harlequin Snake and is, I believe, quite harmless.
I'm trying to follow you upside down. I'm sure I'm actually on the right. Oh yeah, I am. There it is.
And there you have it. In Audubon's own words. I'm going to switch us back now so you can all see our faces. And that is what we have for you today, but we're happy to answer any questions. Let's see, I'm seeing, oh my goodness. Okay, so we have if you have a question, you can put that into the Q&A box at the bottom of your panel. But I misspoke, and obviously you are calling me out on not keeping up to date on what birds have made it to Maine. But Donald is telling us here that there was a report of the chuck-will's widow in Maine this year on eBird. Apparently it was in Hancock County in June.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. And I mean, one of the things that I've really appreciated about this book is how it gives us an opportunity to talk about climate change. Thanks so much, Tony, for highlighting that video again. That's perfect. Thanks, Sheena, for letting us know you couldn't see it. And how the regions of these birds totally changes over time. Yeah. You know, Audubon's account of where he found them versus looking at where they are listed as being their sort of natural habitats. And then, as Donald pointed out, right, like how that's ever changing.
Not only changing species distribution, but how that knowledge is formed. I mean, eBird is fantastic for like bringing together a lot of data about what is where.
Yeah.
But I mean, Audubon had his own sort of network of correspondence that allowed him to track that, and then spending lots of times in the wood.
Yes.
Lots of time in the wood himself.
Oh my gosh, Donald is following up here and said 5 reports on June 18th and 7 on June 16th by a number of people. That is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that information. definitely helps us broaden our idea of the Chuck Will's
Right.
widow in a bird that I assumed had no connection to me, but lo and behold, it does.
So we want to know if they're that scary for real, because they look sort of Halloweenish to me.
An appropriate
with their prodigious mouths.
A prodigious mouth. And Nick is just asking for a little bit of clarification. Yes, so this book is on view on the third floor of the Hawthorne Longfellow Library in the Special Collections and Archives reading room. And it is open for the entire, the bird is on view for the entire month until the next first Friday when we turn the page again. So we call it the bird of the month, and this Chuck Will's widow will be in our reading room for the entirety of October until we next flip the bird.
Right.
But the book itself has been on view in the library since
1956.
1956, so it has continuously been on display. We are still, Kat mentioned how many plates and illustrations are included in this book. We are, and they have been bound into 4 volumes, and we are still looking at volume 1 here in the reading room. So we just have 1 volume on view and 1 bird on view at a time.
And under normal circumstances, we would have people coming in, just stopping in to view the bird of the month. Even if they hadn't been able to make the page turning, we always are open to the public and invite people to come in and view it. In these COVID days, alas, that's not the case. So anyone coming into the reading room right now has to be part of the Bowdoin COVID testing cohort and make an appointment in advance. So sadly, the bird is not getting as many visitors as it otherwise would.
It is not getting as many visitors, but what I will do is in the chat, I'm going to pop a link to our online exhibit, which features all of the recordings that we do have of past page turnings. So you can get a sense of the group that has gathered in the reading room, the various different scholars, artists, poets, students who have joined us for page turnings in the past, and to revisit any of the information that Kat and I shared with you today. Let's see. Okay, well, I think that's what we have. I'm not seeing too many more questions here. We have been recording this session, and we will make it available, and we'll send that out to all of the registrants and put a very clear image of the Chuck Will's widow in there. I want to thank you all so much for joining us and being so generous and flexible with our technical snafus. We are librarians and not technologists, but again, we are so delighted for you joining us, and for Tony Sprague for helping us navigate this Zoom webinar and helping us set that up. We totally appreciate that and are really delighted to be able to share via this platform. So thanks to you all, and we will see you next month.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.